I made my first batch of porcelain clay ever, and today I'm sharing my experiences as I sculpt my very first little ghost for the upcoming spooky season. Hey, I'm Shugi, the artist behind Novira, and today I will be talking about my first experiences working with homemade porcelain clay, what mistakes I made, what I will do differently next time, and my upcoming rebrand, what it involves, and why I'm so excited about it. In the meantime, I will be sculpting some whimsical, adorable mini ghosts and a few other spooky creations. So grab yourself a snack, get cozy, and enjoy the video. I decided to start making cold porcelain clay at home as an experiment to find substitute for polymer clay. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love working with polymer clay. It's easy to use, really fun, and I genuinely enjoy sculpting with it. But on the other hand, it's become pretty expensive for me lately and I'm starting to run extremely low on my supply. I've also been seeing so many artists using homemade cold porcelain clay for their small businesses and they are creating amazing pieces. Honestly, most people probably couldn't even tell whether something was made from polymer clay or cold porcelain. After thinking about it for months, I finally decided to give it a try. Well, first things first, I'm making some tiny ghosts. Right now I'm just experimenting to figure out how I want them to look. I'm planning to sign up for my very first artist alley this October right before Halloween, so with my upcoming rebrand, which I will talk about more later, I decided it was perfect time to start designing some new products. These little ghosts will either be sold on their own or as a part of a gacha machine. I'm planning to put them into tiny little bottles and make them one of the more affordable items at my booth because I want everyone to be able to live with something adorable. I haven't ordered the bottles yet because I first want to see how small I can comfortably sculpt the little ghosts. Most of them will be just simple little ghosts, but I also want to make some wearing tiny outfits or holding cute little accessories. I ended up making some really adorable ones in this video, so I hope you will stick around to see them all. And don't forget to let me know in the comments at the end which one was your absolute favorite. Also, I'm trying to experiment with different main camera angles, and I must say this one is probably the worst one so far. It keeps focusing on my left hand and the most interesting parts are blurred, and I also lost so much footage because of it. I am so sorry about it and I will try something else next time. To tell you the truth, originally I wanted to film the whole process of me making the clay, but after how my first batch turned out, I'm actually glad I didn't. I want to experiment with a few more batches first, figure out what works best, and then make a short, like 5-minute tutorial once I feel more confident with the process. By how it turned out, I mostly meant I messed up several steps while making it. I measured everything correctly according to the recipes I found online: 1 cup of cornstarch, 1 cup of PVA glue, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of baby oil, and of course a little bit of white paint. I mixed everything together and I started heating it over low heat. From what I've read, it was supposed to take about 3 to 6 minutes for the clay to come together, but nothing happened for almost like 15 minutes. Then it took another 5 minutes before it finally started forming into the right consistency. So at that point, I was already sure it was a bad sign and I most likely overcooked it. I also thought I was using a non-stick pan, but it turns out I wasn't. About half of the clay ended up stuck to the sides of the pan, and after I finished making the clay, it took me a solid 1 to 2 hours just to scrape everything off. Definitely not my favorite part of the process. So learning from that experience, I bought a small non-stick pan for my next batch. I'm kind of sad that I had to sacrifice one of my pans for this though, because I definitely can't use it for cooking anymore. Once the clay was finished, I wrapped it tightly in cling film, put it into an airtight container and let it rest for the day. And today is my first day actually using it. Before filming, I did mix most of my base colors and that's when I started noticing another problem. My clay just doesn't take color smoothly. Even the white clay isn't completely smooth, it looks like it has these tiny white specks or particles through it. But whenever I watch other people make cold porcelain online, their clay always looks perfectly smooth. So if you know what might cause this, please let me know in the comments because I would love to figure it out. My current theory is that I use PVA wood glue. Some recipes recommended it, but when I watched Sugar Coffee Charm's videos, she specifically said to use regular all-purpose PVA glue because wood glue dries much faster. So maybe while I was struggling to cook my clay, tiny bits of the glue started drying and clumping together. Honestly, I have no idea what caused it, but I'm so disappointed that I messed up my first batch like this. And also, no matter how much acrylic paint I added, those little particles never disappeared. Instead of getting nice bright colors, all of my clay ended up looking soft pastel and kind of washed out. Please help me, I really want to have nice clay as well, and these tiny little particles throughout my whole clay make me very sad. Another issue I've been having, which might also be due to me using the wrong type of glue, is that my clay starts drying out in what feels like 2 minutes. I know it's an air dry clay, so I expected it to dry fairly quickly, but after only about 5 minutes of working with it, it becomes almost impossible to handle. I've tried using hand lotion and baby oil to keep it pliable, but neither of them seems to help very much. It's especially frustrating when I'm trying to sculpt small things like the eyes. By the time I roll out the tiny piece into a little ball, they're already rock hard. If you have any idea what might be causing this, please let me know in the comments because I would really appreciate the advice. I know having the AC running is probably making the clay dry a little faster, but there is absolutely no way I'm sitting in 40 to 42 degrees heat just to sculpt. Also, when I tried using my clay with molds, I ran into another issue. The clay would just stick to the mold and wouldn't come out with a nice shape. What I learned from this is that it actually works much better if I let the clay dry out slightly first and then use it with the molds. It still wasn't perfect, but the pieces actually came out mostly intact and worked so much better than when I tried using it with flash sticky clay. There is just so many things I will have to keep experimenting with the future batches. I'm so sorry if this comes across as me ranting. I'm really just here to learn and share my experiences with you all. I know that most of these issues are probably the result of me making mistakes, and I'm totally okay with that. It's all part of my learning. I'm just really open to any advice you might have, and I figured the best way to get helpful tips was to share exactly what my experience has been like so far. I do have to give credit where credit is due, because my clay, even if I messed it up, the texture and feel of it is really nice. Compared to regular air dry modeling clay and polymer clay, it feels so much softer and fluffier. It's honestly just really satisfying to play around with. It's kind of a dopamine boost, and I don't know how else to describe it. After making many tiny ghosts, and I will still make a few of them later as well, I decided it was time to try my hand at a bigger one. This is not going to be put in a bottle like the smaller ones, it's probably going to be a charm or just a little desk body, so I wanted to make it a bit more interesting. Besides making it very adorable, I also gave it a little pumpkin. However, I did mess up the pumpkin and it became so big, I just didn't know what to do with it. So sadly I had to kind of rip off the arm of the poor little ghost and fix it. Yeah, I will have to censor that when we get there. But in the meantime, let me mention that we are getting so close to 200 subscribers, and it honestly feels like a dream. At the end of May, I only had around 40 subscribers, so seeing this little community grow means a world to me. If you are enjoying the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps support my channel, and I would love to keep sharing my creative journey and my love of art with so many more people as well. If you would like to support me even further, feel free to check out my online shop where I sell handmade clay trinkets and check glass jewelry. I also take some commissions, so if you have seen something that I made on my channel and that you would love to own, don't hesitate to reach out. I will do my best to make it happen. As a little thank you for watching, I have a 15% off coupon waiting for you. You will find the code in the description and on the screen right now. The first 5 people who purchase any 2 items from my shop can use it. My most affordable product started around 10 euros already, so I hope you will find something you love. I'm still a very small creator, and I know it can be really difficult to get sales, especially in the current economy. As someone who is still learning, experimenting and growing, I do feel a little awkward mentioning my shop so often, but at the same time, this is also a big part of why I create. So thank you so much for supporting me, whether that's by liking, subscribing, sharing my videos, or checking out my shop. Every little bit genuinely helps me continue creating and sharing my art with you and everyone else. And this leads to my next topic, my upcoming rebrand. I will be talking about my new brand name, how and when it's going to happen, and what this change will actually involve. So first of all, why am I rebranding? This actually comes down to several main reasons. The first reason is that while I absolutely love making jewelry, I don't really create much content around it anymore. I feel like I want to expand into a broader creative space where I can freely make whatever inspires me without feeling limited by my current name. I also want a more unique brand identity. When I first chose the name Novyra 2 years ago, there wasn't a single thing called Novyra online. But now there are like at least 10 to 20 different brands using this name, and there is even a dropshipping brand that conveniently decided to name themselves Novyra Jewelry as well. Even though I did a lot of SEO work to help my shop appear in searches, it's become much harder to stand out. However, I don't want to completely let go of the Novyra name because it still feels like me. So instead, I decided to evolve into Novyra Curios. The name is inspired by the 1800s, 1900s curiosity and mystique shops, and honestly, I can't think of anything that fits my vision better. It feels whimsical, a little witchy, and like a place where you can discover little treasures. And I also really don't like how my current website looks. It's not ugly, but it just lacks the personality and whimsy I want. The final reason I'm rebranding is that honestly, I feel like my brand didn't really have a clear direction. I want to create something much more cohesive, a brand that feels like a little curated Curios shop with monthly or bi-monthly collections that feel like they have their own stories and themes. I will slowly start phasing out my current products. I will still be making jewelry and clay creations, but I also want to expand into other things like stickers, sticker sheets, upcycled painted bags, art prints, possibly clothing, notebook covers, and so much more. I also want to spend some of my free time learning more about customer psychology and redesigning my website and collections based on what I learned. When I first started, I honestly thought I could just make pretty things, put them online and magically start getting sales, but I was wrong. I spent a lot of time feeling like I'm not making any progress, and I finally reached a point where I don't want to stay stuck anymore. I finally feel like I'm ready to take action, build something intentional and create a brand that I always imagined. I had a few extra motivators besides my never-ending guilt and my slowly building feeling that I wasn't moving forward. I love creating art, but I also can't continue putting so much time and energy into something without making any income from it. And honestly, doing nothing has never solved any problems, so I know I have to start actively working on the biggest issues with my brand. The first thing I need to do is create a more cohesive brand, something that tells a story and has a unique feeling behind it, rather than feeling just like another small art business without a clear identity. So over the next few weeks, I will be completely rebuilding my Shopify website while keeping my current one live in the meantime. Unfortunately, I won't be able to change my domain name just yet because I already own it for another year, but I will just be updating and improving everything else I can. Once the website is mostly finished, I will also be changing all of my social media accounts from novyrajewelry and Claire to Curios and start this new chapter. I hope I achieve this in the next few weeks, but life can happen sometimes, so sorry if I take a bit longer. My other big motivation was signing up for my very first artist alley and starting to collect ideas for my table setup. I really don't want to have a basic or boring booth. I want it to feel like stepping into my little curiosity shop. I'm imagining deep emerald greens, pressed and gold accents, touches of dark purple, whimsical signs and magical little decorations, and of course, products that fit into this same world. I want people to feel like they are discovering a tiny treasure shop when they visit my table. So let this video be a motivation for you as well. If I can pull myself out of a spiral and start taking those first scary steps into the unknown, the things I've been so afraid of, then so you can too. Let this be our art journey together. Let's create, learn and grow along the way. I will surely make more mistakes and might regret some stuff as well, but I would regret not trying and living my dream 10,000 times more. So let's hope that we can make it together. Lastly, the final topic I wanted to talk about is what this rebranding will mean for my YouTube channel. I will definitely continue making these craft with me videos because I still need to create products and experiment and have things to share with you. But I also want to start making more educational content, not only for beginner crafters, but for small business owners and people who are thinking about starting their own creative businesses. I want to share the things I learned along the way so that hopefully others can avoid some of the mistakes I made and feel a little more prepared when starting their own journey. I'm also considering doing more in-depth research into customer behavior and psychology and turning that into a short crafting documentary style video where I want to show you what I learned, how I implemented it into my own shop or artist alley booth, and then come back later with another update video on what actually worked and what didn't. I feel like there are a lot of videos out there about these topics that just stay on the surface level. Sometimes they repeat the same advice over and over again without actually testing it, or people present themselves as experts after only reading a few articles about the subject. But there are also so many videos that unfortunately share advices that can be misleading or even legally questionable. I don't want to make content like that, and I want to actually experiment, share my results, and be honest about what works, what doesn't, and what I'm still figuring out. I won't name anyone specifically on these videos because that's not the point, but if you ever gone down this side of YouTube, you probably exactly know what I'm talking about. I also want to start making some higher quality content. I already pour so much time and effort into my current videos, but because I do everything completely by myself, I just don't always have enough time to take them to the next level. In the future, I want to experiment with spending 2 to 4 weeks on a certain video and making them more detailed and polished. However, I'm also a little scared of disappearing for too long and having people forget about me here on YouTube. This is honestly the only social media platform where I managed to grow even a little bit. I've been posting the same short form content on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok, but I barely get any reach no matter what I try. On Instagram and Facebook, I've gained fewer than 5 followers who weren't people I personally asked to follow me, and Twitter has been even slower. And I just really don't understand why this is happening. I've tried different types of content, different tags, I tried posting at different times, I did everything I could find information about, and I just don't know what to do. If you have grown any follower base on any of the other platforms, please let me know, because I'm honestly lost. I told you I read so many articles, I watched so many videos, I even signed up to some of these email marketing things of YouTubers who talk about how to grow social media. I tried doing their challenges, and just no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to get any actual reach and views. Like for example, on Instagram or Twitter, I get like 10 to 20 views or even less sometimes. Instagram does push it like every once in a while to 100 views, but it stops there. I never actually get any interaction. Like if I get a like on an Instagram post, it's a miracle. I always get 0 comments, 0 retweets. I just kind of retweet it myself on my other account. And it feels kind of depressing, to tell you the truth. What hurts even more about this is that on YouTube, I get a few hundred to 1,000 views and actually quite a few likes sometimes, and I also get some subscribers from it, which I'm so thankful and happy about, and I just really can't comprehend why the same content doesn't do even nearly good on anything else, on like any other social media platform. So back to the topic, sorry for the little rant, I just really had to get it out of my system, and there will be another little rant coming later. I'm so sorry about it. I just want to ask for your opinion on what I should do, but it can honestly be really discouraging seeing all this no progress, and I don't want to lose even the small community I built here on YouTube, and I worked so hard for it, but at the same time I feel like I could create something so much better if I gave myself a little more time. So we will see how it goes. If I don't upload a long form video for a week or 2 in the future, it probably just means I'm working on something bigger, but I will do my best to keep a consistent upload schedule and at least upload a video once every week whenever I can. And of course, I know numbers are not the only thing that matter, but it can be really discouraging sometimes to see that you have made no progress whatsoever. I will try to keep a hopeful and positive attitude, and I'm trying not to make my videos too ranty and depressing. So I'm so sorry again for the little rant, but honestly I think it's important to share these struggles too. Not many people show the actual reality of building a small business from the ground up, especially when you are starting with zero experience. I've seen so many creators who seem to appear out of nowhere. They have made 10 shorts and somehow every single one of them has hundreds of thousands of views. Then they just open their shop and make over 100 sales in their first week. And I'm always left wondering, how did they do that? Of course, most people don't share the full story. Maybe they already had an audience somewhere else, maybe they invested into a lot of ads, maybe they bought some followers, or they had help behind the scenes, or maybe they were simply extremely lucky. And honestly, those creators are probably the tiny fraction of other creators out there. Comparing ourselves to them, which I am definitely guilty of as well, is just unrealistic. Most of the time, success comes from continuing to create, improving little by little, and staying consistent. Sometimes all it takes is 1 or 2 videos reaching the right people to completely change things. So if you are also in the same boots as me, just keep creating, you genuinely never know what might happen. Ending on that positive note, let me show you how I dye my pieces. I put them on this satin cloth, and under it is filled with this fluffy, plushy feeling, so I hope they can dry nicely. However, I did see that they already started yellowing a little bit. I hope it's going to be fine. Which one is your little favorite ghost, or perhaps you like the mushroom man, the pumpkin, or the bunny more? I just can't decide. I think my favorite is the little ghost holding the pumpkin. Also, let me thank you so much for watching and staying this long. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my shop if you can. Stay whimsy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!